Hi everybody, welcome to In the Kitchen with Joel. Today we're going to be making hummus. I know a lot of you probably already make hummus, or if you don't, you buy it. And today we're going to talk about how to do it very simply at home using your food processor and a handful of ingredients. So again, keeping it simple, things that you have around the house. Largely, there might be a couple things you don't have if you haven't made hummus before. That would be tahini you might not have, the spices you probably have, and chickpeas. If you've been buying your own and you don't put chickpeas in your salad these days, then you might not have a can of chickpeas hanging around. There's two different ways, let's just talk about chickpeas for a minute. Two different ways to get your chickpeas. One is in a can like this. Doesn't have to be the blue menu, but a can from the grocery store, or you can buy them in a bag in a dry format. If you're buying them dry, you have to cook them first. These are already pre-cooked and ready to go. But if you like to buy them dry and start that way, take them out of the bag, put a cup's worth into water, a lot of water, a big bowl of water, and leave it sit overnight so that they get nice and plump. Then you have to boil them, and you boil them for about an hour and a half, about 90 minutes, boiling on the stove, and then they're ready and they'll be in the same shape as these in the can. So you can choose. You can buy them dry and go through those processes, or you can just buy a can. I like to buy blue menu or low salt because, as I've said in other recipes, I like to manage my own salt that I put into my recipes. So this way we can keep it low, and then I'll add salt as we go. Like my recipes, I'm not going to measure a whole lot. There'll be instructions at the end and in the notes so that you can get a feel for the ingredients and just about how much I put in. But you'll see that this is one of those recipes where I like to try it as I go. I sometimes go through 3 or 4 spoons, and sometimes I nail it on the first go. But in terms of ingredients, pretty simple. We've got lemon, and we use fresh lemon for this. If you don't have any lemons and you keep a lemon bottle in your fridge, you can use that as well. But this is a great reason to have fresh lemons in the house. Some garlic. I used about a clove of garlic for a can of chickpeas. If you like yours garlicky, then you're going to go with 2 or 3 cloves. Tahini. Tahini, which is rendered from sesames. It's essentially pure sesame seed. Tahini oil. If you don't have that, off to the grocery store you go to find that. It'll be in the Mediterranean section usually, or somewhere near the butters or peanut butters, depending on your grocery store. There. Olive oil. And then in terms of spices, we've got some salt. For this one I'm using sea salt. You can use kosher salt as well. And then a couple of other spices. Cayenne. If you like it spicy, throw some cayenne in. If you don't like it spicy, just leave it out. But the other major flavor note in hummus is cumin. And I use 2 different cumin products. I use regular cumin that you either already have or know where to find in the grocery store. And I use a product called geera, which is essentially roasted cumin. And what that does, it's a little darker in color, and so it tends to darken the hummus. So I don't use a ton of it, but actually I use about 50-50 geera to cumin. You can see it's darker in color. I'm just going to hold that up to the camera. That's the geera there, and that's the cumin there. And what it is roasted. You can make your own by taking cumin seeds, roasting them on the oven, and then grinding them if you really want to go that far. You can find the geera in a few places. You can probably find it online, and you can find it in Caribbean supermarkets is where you're likely to find that in a package. And did I say a can of chickpeas? 1 can of chickpeas is what I'm using today. I am not starting from dry chickpeas. I didn't have time to put that together. And besides, that is a process that you have to start the day before. So if you don't know you're making hummus that day, you're not using the dry chickpeas anyway. That's you have to think in advance for that one. So first part of the process, open a can of chickpeas, and then we strain or drain out the liquid in the chickpea can. And we drain, you don't have to drain it all, so don't worry about it because you need liquid in there, but put it into a glass, and then when you've got most of it out, don't worry about squeezing it because you need the liquid. Drop the chickpeas into your food processor. Now, we'll come back to this because this is what's going to make it soft and smooth, but you don't know how much of this you need to put in until you get going. It's probably about, I would say, about 1/4 cup. I'll put that in the recipe at the end. It's probably about 1/4 cup's worth, but I like to measure as I go, and you'll see what I mean when we get started. And then the juice of about 1½ lemons, again using my really great juicer. 1½ lemons, and then because my wife does not care for a whole lot of raw garlic in her food, I'm using just one clove, but you can easily put 2 or 3 cloves in and get a nice garlicky flavor. I give it a little crush before. I know this is a food processor, but sometimes it can leave chunks if you don't crush it first. So I give it a quick crushing. Olive oil is a couple of tablespoons. A couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Now I've been doing this recipe for, I don't know, about 15 years, and I've changed it and modified it a little bit over the years, but mostly what I've done is I don't have my spoons out and I don't measure anything. And what I found is, I know after tasting and tasting and tasting, so it's maybe ½ teaspoon of salt. After tasting and tasting and tasting, I know how much of each ingredient I like to have in there. I like to taste a little bit of cumin, not a ton of cumin. I love the flavor of the tahini coming through, and so like most recipes will call for a couple tablespoons of tahini, and you can see I'm using a giant tablespoon here, giant spoon, and I'll put like four of these in there. I used to make this with like 4 tablespoons, and now I just throw in about 4 giant spoons full of that because I love the flavor of tahini. And again, that's what this is all about. Make it the way you want it. Make it the consistency you want it. Make it the flavor notes that you like. So here's the geera, dropping in what amounts to probably a tablespoon, and another tablespoon of cumin. And then we like it hot here, so we're going to drop in some cayenne. I don't put a ton of cayenne in because when we serve it, we also put some hot sauce on top. So just enough cayenne to give it that little bit of a kick. And then away we go. I'm going to turn this on, grind it up, and you're going to see after it's spinning for about 15 seconds that you'll be able to tell from the consistency that it needs some liquid in there because it looks all very dry and isn't spinning nicely. And that's when I'm going to add the liquid a little bit at a time. So you saw what that looks like before I add any liquid, and now I'm going to add some liquid because you see it's very thick in there. You can hear it now. You can hear it now. It's slushing around quickly, and you'll be able to tell once you drop a spoon in there whether or not you've got the right consistency. But I put about 1/4 cup of that liquid that I'm holding on to here, and then continue to process. In total, the processing time the first time around is it's really not that long. It's about a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Then I pop the lid off, sit her down, and then I grab one of my spoons and then I try it. I can taste the lemon, and I can taste the tahini. Not quite enough tahini, so in goes a little bit more. What I'm not tasting is the cumin. So in goes more geera and more cumin. And again, if you don't have the roasted cumin, the geera, just use cumin for the whole thing. That's what most people do. Most people don't have access or don't have the roasted cumin, but what it does is it just gives it another flavor dimension, makes it just a little bit different and a little bit unique, and not what you're getting from the grocery store. The other thing we're checking for is the consistency, and this is nice and soft. I'll bring the camera over so you can see what you're going for. There it is. Yeah, now I've got the cumin notes coming through. You can taste the tahini. The lemon is in there in the background. The salt is bringing it all together. You don't want to over salt. And the olive oil just makes it a little bit creamy. And again, when you serve it, you can totally serve it with olive oil on top. It's a very nice way to do that. So we're done. Let me show you how creamy, how creamy this is. Okay, so that's what you're going for. It's smooth. It moves easily. So when it pours out of here, it's not pouring out and it's not sticking back. It's just coming out nice and evenly. That's what you're going for. Now, if you like it looser, just put more liquid in. If you like it harder, put less liquid. It's as simple as that. And once you do this a few times, you'll get a feel for just how you like it. And there you have it. We've made hummus. It took about 5 minutes. It took about 5 minutes to gather all the ingredients. So from start to finish, this is about a 10-minute process to have fresh hummus on the table. One thing to keep in mind, this nice consistency that you see here is when the hummus is room temperature. So if you put it in the fridge and you want to serve it and you want it to feel like this, you need to bring it out for about a half an hour before you're serving it. Otherwise it's going to be hardened from the refrigerator. So just keep that in mind. This is the way I like it, so I like to take it out, like I said, about a half an hour before, and then drizzle it with some olive oil on top when I'm serving it. It's that easy. Go and do it yourself and enjoy. Thank you for watching.